Yo, Damon, did you see Bruce Branch the third, that number one recruit in 2027? He updated his top three. Did you see it?
Yeah, I mean, what were the schools in the top three?
It was Arizona and USC.
I thought it was the top three.
Yeah, it was his top three. It's Arizona and it's USC.
Welcome on in, guys, to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Damon Fairall. That is Kevin Thomas, and we are here in downtown Phoenix at lovely, beautiful PHNX HQ2. Kevin, we got a lot to talk about today, including breaking down yesterday's Brayden Burries and Koa Peat press conferences for their first speaking appearances since becoming officially Arizona Wildcats. And, of course, as you mentioned in that cold open, we got some big recruiting news to get to. Excited to get into it today.
Extremely excited, Damon. It's always great when we have, especially basketball recruiting news to talk about, because that is my specific bag that I like to dig into. And also, it's always good when you get to hear from the two most premier names in the 2025 recruiting class, Koa Peat and Brayden Burries. And Brayden Burries, usually not a man of many words, but his words of few this time were quite bold in some ways. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And I also have a new nickname for Dalen Terry that I want to throw out there towards Damon later in the show. But I do think we should start by talking about Koa Peat, his press conference appearance a little bit yesterday. Crashed by one Jaden Bradley, as we saw Michael Lev post about yesterday. Jaden Bradley took a shot at being a little bit of a media member and asked Koa Peat his own question. And also, I think I'd be remiss to not start by saying Koa Peat, known anti-cereal guy, standing strong with me and Damon in the army of cereal being overrated. They asked Koa Peat about his favorite cereal. He said, cereal? Nah, I don't eat cereal. Top three cereals? Don't got none. And that was a big personal victory for me, Damon.
Because Koa Peat is a grown man, Kevin.
Four-time gold medalist.
Yeah.
Cares about his body.
And, that's similar also grown men, such as me and yourself. We don't
just like Koa Peat.
We don't wake up in the morning and say, "Can we pour ourselves a bowl of cinnamon toast crunch?"
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's it's more about bacon, eggs, manly stuff, Kevin. That's it. That's what it's
protein.
Just guys like me, you, and Koa Peat.
Yeah.
Simple.
I mean, what's the difference really between you and Koa Peat? Like, I look at you, I look at Koa Peat, I see the same physique, same height, same whole thing.
I think from the same cloth for sure.
And when we met Koa Peat in person at the spring showcase, when he was watching or visiting with his brother, whatever it was, I couldn't tell the difference between you and Koa Peat. I was having trouble. I was looking at Koa saying Damon. I was looking at Damon saying Koa. It was a whole thing. But luckily, you weren't in attendance yesterday, so that wasn't a problem for any local media members getting confused Damon for Koa Peat. But Koa did speak to why he chose Arizona, and this is what the four-time gold medalist had to say.
I think the development piece was big for me, and just the relationships. Me and Coach Lloyd built a great relationship throughout my process, and Coach TJ as well, and all the assistant coaches. So that's.
And we're going to talk more about the relationships and how important they are in the modern era of recruiting a little bit at the end of the show when we discuss Bruce Branch III's update on his recruitment. But relationships were key to getting Koa Peat here to Arizona, and not only were the relationships key, but just the overall program standing was key. When Saul spoke to him at the U19 trials in Colorado Springs, it was one of the big reasons that Koa Peat noted as to why he chose Arizona at that time was the non-conference schedule being so loaded. The stage that you get to be a part of when you play for Arizona is something that Koa Peat saw as a real opportunity for him to get his name out there, to increase his profile as a prospect, right? And what Tommy Lloyd, in my opinion, has been really strong at doing as a recruiter, regardless of, and we went through all of his recruiting classes yesterday, the good, the bad. We talked about the best recruiting classes of all time on yesterday's show, so make sure to go check that out. But throughout all of Tommy Lloyd's recruiting classes, what he's been really strong at is creating relationships that seem to last. And he's been good at this ever since his time at Gonzaga. And we know that because he's been able to bring players along with him when he made that transition, brought coaches along with him when he made that transition, and he's been able to maintain international relationships that he fostered while he was at Gonzaga. And I think that his relationship building as a coach and as a recruiter will only go to further Arizona's status as a program. And like I said, we'll get into more of that later with Bruce Branch and Dalen Terry as well. But what were your kind of takeaways from Koa Peat's why he chose Arizona?
I think obviously, and you talked about it a little bit with me off air, but it's the state pride aspect from Damon Dog, right? Like, let's keep it on brand here for a second. Arizona, born and raised, just like Koa Peat. I mean, again, two cut from the same cloth, Kevin. We're gonna go straight back to it, and I think that's the portion that kind of fires me up a little bit, is just the aspect of trying to kind of play with that Arizona on your chest, and it meaning a little bit more, representing the place that you've always grown up and known. So yeah, that in particular for me, Kevin, was definitely the one that stuck out.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned it. We might as well play the clip after right now, because Koa Peat did speak to what he's most excited for of this upcoming season, and partially representing the state of Arizona is part of it.
I think just the fans in the stage, honestly, and being from Arizona, I'm a hometown kid, so coming here, people know me. There's going to be all the fans are probably going to know me, so just playing in front of a great environment and just playing with Arizona on my chest is going to make me probably play even harder. So yeah.
I mean, that's the stuff that if you're Damon, you're just waking up. I mean, I love it too, but it just means a little bit more, right? For you, Damon, to hear a guy like Koa Peat, who grew up here, a little bit north of Tucson, to come down to Tucson and be like, no, this is where and this is how you represent the freedom state of Arizona, right? And I think the Mecca, right? And we know that Koa Peat is going to bring the fans out, right? Arizona basketball has never had a problem getting the fans into McHale, but I say that to say a lot of fans are going to be specifically Koa Peat fans next year, because that man rolls deep. When he was at the state title game this past year, the entire front row of the courtside was just, I don't know if they're all family members of his. He does have a big family, so it's plausible. Could have been family, friends, a whole mix. But he was probably about 20, 25 deep at the state championship game. I can't imagine home opener against Auburn, right? What that's going to look like, what the Peat party is going to look like rolling into that game. But yeah, he's right. Like his connection to this state, his connection to the city of Tucson is real. And I can't wait to see how the Tucson faithful embraces Koa Peat this upcoming year as he takes the floor, Damon.
I have to imagine that, being how Koa Peat is wired, that it was much less of like, I need this much money to come to Arizona, and much more of like, I need this many tickets per game to come to Arizona. Don't you think, Kevin? Like, I genuinely feel like that probably is more important to a guy like that. He knows he's going to make his money in the NBA, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
He came to Arizona in part, and that's part of the reason why that school up north was even considered, right, is because he wants his family to be able to attend his games. Like, that's pretty obvious, I feel like, at this point. And, so I genuinely feel like Koa Peat was probably like at the forefront of his list, was like making sure he had enough for the Peat family section at McHale Center, and by golly, they're going to have it, Kevin.
Oh, yeah. And also, you say that Koa Peat, one of his requirements must have been during his recruitment, how many tickets can I get? I feel like if you're any coach worth your weight in gold, you're hearing Koa Peat say that and instantly being like, yeah, you can have a whole section if you want, Koa Peat. I don't give a damn.
1,000 tickets to the Peats.
Yeah. Do you want to come play for Arizona? Because we can get you the tickets today. We can pre-order them, reserve them, do whatever you want to do. We can put tarps over them months ahead of time if you need to. But yeah, definitely something that means a lot is staying home for these high-level Arizona recruits. And where is the best place to do that in the state if you are a high-level basketball recruit? It is Arizona. And, we keep alluding to the idea of keeping in-state guys in-state. And one of the best ways to do that is have an incredible alumni association, right? And while Dalen Terry might not have spent, half a decade on campus at Arizona, he was a fan favorite for certain, gets drafted to the Chicago Bulls, represents the U of A at a very high level. I know we often reference was it the NBA social team, or was it just the Boston Celtics social team that did that video with Jrue Holiday and Jason Tatum where they were giving out?
It was the Celtics.
Okay, yeah. But they did that with Dalen Terry as well on the Bulls, and they gave him an ASU jersey, and I haven't seen a guy represent the U of A better than this and just instantly be like, no, get that out of here. I don't want to even touch that. That shouldn't even be in my zip code.
I mean, he's got Dalen Terry has the forks down gif.
Of course he does. We love that gif. And I feel like Dalen Terry, Carter Bryant, Koa Peat, depending upon, how everything shakes out during his time at U of A, this new generation of Arizona Wildcats, they're going to bring in the next generation of Arizona Wildcats. And this was Koa Peat on, I'm remiss, I forget who asked him about, like, if he had any association with any alumni during his recruitment. And this is what Koa Peat had to say about a certain alumni's impact on his recruitment.
Not those alumni, but Dalen Terry talked to me a lot throughout my recruitment process. Me and him are really close. He actually just called me before this press conference because he was at Prende, my middle school we went to. We went to the same middle school, so he's always been connected with me, and I've known him since growing up. Yeah, just I hit him, and I was just like, "What do you think about Arizona?" And he just said, "Coach Lloyd's a great coach, and he's going to let you play if you just go out there and play hard, and you're a good player, good character, good kid."
And I feel like, like I was alluding to earlier, Tommy Lloyd's ability to leave a lasting impression on the players that play for him, whether it's for Team USA, whether it's for Arizona, whether it was during his time at Gonzaga. People will remember, who was it, Maya Angelou, that once said that they don't really care what you do or what you say, but it's how you make them feel. That's what they remember. And I think, like, when Dalen Terry is able to be a conduit for these recruits and say, like, hey, if you want to be valued, if you want to get developed, Arizona is the place to be. Tommy Lloyd's not selling you a fake bill of goods. He really wants to make you the best basketball player you can be. That is real. That is a guy that has gone in the draft recently. That's tangible. You can reach out and touch. You know what I mean? And I think that's a very important thing for Arizona to secure more high-level recruits like Koa Peat, is to have guys like Dalen Terry carrying the torch for your program, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially being a Phoenix guy in particular, I know that from a Koa Peat perspective, obviously talking about the middle school aspect of things, that means everything. But I also just think that for other Phoenix hoopers, right? Like Dalen Terry, and I feel like these circles run tight. I know they certainly do from a football perspective. I won't speak to it from a basketball perspective, but given that there's less players, I'm certain it's probably even tighter circles. And I would imagine that all of these like blue chip level players are somewhat in connection with each other. So having a guy like Dalen Terry who's in the league, kind of being a recruiter for you and an asset for your program is huge. And it just seems like Dalen Terry is a well-liked dude. Like people, in and around basketball circles, enjoy being around him and whatnot. Like even when Dalen Terry's working out in the summers, he's doing so with like really high-level players. Like he's working out with like all-stars and stuff. And he obviously hasn't really hit the ground running in the NBA yet. He's still very young, but it hasn't been exactly a stellar start. But it just goes to show, I think, how well connected he is, and having a guy like that, we say it with guys like Richard Jefferson or Steve Kerr all the time. Like alumni that rep your program and recruit for you, in a sense, are invaluable to what you're trying to accomplish. And getting a guy like Dalen Terry, who was here for Tommy Lloyd, is huge in that aspect, because I think you have had those guys who are Sean Miller guys, who are Lute Olson guys, who, go to war for this and go to bat for this program. But you're starting to see the first couple Tommy Lloyd guys, and that's going to be big for the Tommy Lloyd era of Arizona.
You alluded to it right there, right? Because I was going to go there as well, because I was going to say, like, when I say that the new generation of Arizona Wildcats will bring in the next generation, it might sound like me saying the sky is blue and that the sun is bright and you shouldn't stare at it for too long. You know what I mean? It sounds like I'm saying the obvious, but really you kind of do have to go back a little while to where you have that super active pro alumni that are really repping the brand and really being like almost like a missionary, so to speak, for Arizona basketball. Like DeAndre Ayton, not really that guy. Aaron Gordon, not really that guy either. I'm sure that they, say good words about their time at Arizona, and if you ask them, they'll probably encourage you to go there.
Yeah.
But like, and first and foremost, I want to say, like, I love that they're both Wildcats. And I'm not trying to say that they don't represent the university well, because they do. But there's a difference between, going to Arizona and having it be a part of your story, and then going to Arizona and trying to make sure it's part of other people's stories, right? Because that's what Dalen Terry's doing. That's what Carter Bryant is doing. That's what it seems like Koa Peat is going to also be doing once he leaves Arizona. And I think that, like you said, this is the first real crop of Tommy Lloyd recruits that get to say, that guy's building something in Tucson, and you should want to be a part of it, because I was a part of it, and this is where it got me. And I think that this is like the first kind of cycle of us really seeing that level up in I'll say coaching experience for Tommy Lloyd, because that is the kind of thing that you can only get with time. You can't, walk into your first couple seasons as an Arizona head coach and get that base, that alumni base behind you. It's just not a reasonable ask, even at a school like Arizona. But now we're finally seeing the vocal alumni start to come out and help bring in a new generation of elite Arizona Wildcats. And that is kind of when you start to get that, for financial terms, shout out to Monarch Money, like that passive income. You know what I mean? If you're Tommy Lloyd, you get that passive goodwill with these recruits. Your name starts to get
recruiting, violations and scheduling, the times that you can't talk to guys when you're Dalen Terry and you play for the Chicago Bulls.
Exactly. And no longer is Tommy Lloyd trying to get his name out there as an elite recruiter. Now he is his reputation precedes himself now. And he's able to walk into these rooms with even more confidence and say, like, hey, you saw Carter Bryant, right? Dominated the summer league. Looked great. You know what I mean? I coached that guy. I helped him get to where he is. Oh, you see Henry Vasar going and get a huge bag from UNC. That happened because I helped him develop the XYZ.
True.
Oh, and he can go down the list now, and it gives him so infinitely much more credibility, especially when these guys talk about him when he's not even in the room, about how great he is and how you should want to go play for Tommy Lloyd. So hearing Koa Peat say that about Dalen Terry really gave me a lot of encouragement as well. And we're talking a lot about Tommy Lloyd, and I want to get more into Tommy Lloyd's coaching style and how Koa Peat truly is, Damon and I have been saying it, but Koa Peat truly is the ideal Tommy Lloyd basketball player. He knows so. Tommy Lloyd knows so. And we're going to talk more about that on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Look, Damon, long summer without Arizona basketball. I know Arizona football is quickly approaching, but I'm a basketball guy, and I got to get through this summer somehow. And my favorite way to do that is with our friends over at Pure Edibles, because they just give me that pick-me-up when I'm feeling like I just need a bit of a pick-me-up. Kicks are their kind of starburst kind of candy. And they also have hard candies, caramels, soft chews, the whole thing. And you're like, am I talking about candy or am I talking about edibles? Well, luckily, I'm talking about both, because our friends over at Pure Edibles, this is a full-fledged candy company offering THC gummies with the effects clearly listed on the tin. So you know exactly what type of vibe you are getting yourself into. No more, oh, I don't know if this is going to make me feel too this way or too that way. No, your effects are clearly listed, and the dosage is easy to dial in because you can bite them, tear them, rip them, however you want to do it to share with your friends. Or like I said, just dial in your dose. So go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from one of the over 130 dispensaries in the Freedom State of Arizona that sell them. And if you are at a dispensary that doesn't sell Pure Edibles, get yourself a better dispo and check out our friends over at Pure Edibles.
Perfect combo with Pure Edibles is our friends at Circle K. And when you are an Inner Circle Rewards program member, you guys are going to save even more money on all the best snacks and beverages you can find out there. And of course, Circle K is America's thirst stop. Everybody knows that. It's the only place to go when you need a midday or a late night pick-me-up, right? Maybe just a nightcap, maybe an energy drink at lunchtime, to kind of get back in that second half of your day at work. You name it, man. Circle K has you covered with the absolute best options possible. They got all sorts of meal deals going on. But of course, when you talk about the Inner Circle Rewards membership, you have to talk about the gas savings. Kevin, you're going to save 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups when you sign up. And then you're going to save 3 cents off every time you fill up after that until you become a premium member, where you'll save 5 cents off per gallon. It's so simple to sign up. You just plug in a phone number, pick a password, download the app, and you're done. It's that easy. Become a Inner Circle Rewards program member today. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details.
Damon, I and yourself are both perfect fits with the Circle K Inner Circle. You and I, we love that place. It's always there for us when we need it most. But Koa Peat seems to be a perfect fit in Tommy Lloyd's Inner Circle as well for the Arizona basketball Wildcats. And now hear me out. You and I have been saying Koa Peat feels like, I think this is your initial thought, but Koa Peat is like built in a lab to play for Tommy Lloyd's basketball system, Tommy Lloyd's program, wherever it might be. This right in this university is at the University of Arizona. But it's not just something that you and I have identified and we're just making it up out of thin air. It really is something that Tommy Lloyd has also seemingly identified in Koa Peat, of like, this recruit is everything I want in a recruit. And so here is Koa Peat kind of talking about his fit in not only Tommy Lloyd's system, but how his experience working with Coach Lloyd under, Team USA, the Team USA summer that they just had, could give him an advantage in the Big 12 this upcoming season?
Yeah, we had like 2 weeks before we went up to USA, so just like learning like the ins and outs of his offense. He kind of ran a little bit of the same type of concepts, but not as much. But I mean, just learning him as a coach and stuff like that helped me a lot. Just honestly, just how he coaches on the floor, how like assertive he was. It was cool to see like how locked in he was on everybody, and just how good of a coach he was, and just learning from him throughout that experience helped me when I got back to here as well. So I kind of got a little bit more comfortable with like just like kind of like the stuff he was like the concepts he was running and stuff like that. So I think that's helped me a lot this summer, just having that experience playing with him so early. Yeah, I think I fit perfect. Coach Lloyd told me I'm a perfect fit. So coming here and kind of now learning the stuff that he runs and sets like that, but also like he gives me the freedom to just be a basketball player in transition and in the half court. So just trying to learn each and every day and get better each and every day.
That's actually the aspect of things I was going to talk about right out of that. Kevin and Koa Peat mentions it there, is the transition part of things. And we all know how much Tommy Lloyd loves to run in transition, and he loves just getting his team high caliber shots, right? Like he wants the highest efficiency shots total. Arizona under Tommy Lloyd has always been a team that likes to attack the basket in particular, especially when they had the bigs to do so. When they had Azuolas Tubelis and Umar Ballo, or Azuolas Tubelis and Christian Coloco, with either, Ben Matherin driving to the basket or Caleb Love, like there was, there's always an aspect of downhill rim pressure and of course bigs that can operate in and around the cylinder, right? And I think Koa Peat kind of provides both of those options.
Yeah,
like I think
so.
he's really truly like the first guy Tommy Lloyd's gonna have in his time at Arizona that is like a combo of the two of those. Because like I think Carter Bryant, like you could have projected that maybe he had that ability, but he just didn't really put the ball on the floor enough or well enough maybe to kind of bring that aspect of his game out onto the court. But I think Koa Peat is really truly the perfect combo blend of that. And that's where I think that the fit is just so perfect, because I just envision a world where Koa Peat's getting 10 bunny type of shots a game, where it's like you're either going to have to foul him, or he's, so physical, so fast, so strong that he's just going to take you under the basket, jump higher than you, and get a really high percentage shot. And that's where I just feel like Koa Peat is going to be the best player on this team next season, from a statistical standpoint, from a eye test standpoint, like all of it, because I feel like he just fits exactly what Tommy wants to do so well.
Yeah, and this is the first player that Tommy Lloyd has had. And again, this is no diss to any player that Tommy Lloyd has recruited or gotten to Arizona yet, but it's more of a praise to what Koa Peat can do out there, because this is the first player that Tommy Lloyd's had where he can, at least in my opinion, where Tommy Lloyd should be able to trust him no matter where he's at on the court, no matter what situation he is in. I feel like you should be confident that Koa Peat can make the correct decision, whether it's in transition, whether it's in the half court, whether it's playing out of the post, whether it's playing defense, right? Or like transition defense or half court defense. Koa Peat is equipped for all of those situations. And I think that his ability to also be a conduit of what Tommy Lloyd wants to do on the court, from away from the point guard position, in addition to what Jaden Bradley can bring, like what he already does in terms of communicating that stuff on the court, it adds another, like, I don't know, for lack of a better phrase, it just adds another like adult in the room. I know it's weird to say about a freshman coming into things, but it adds another reliable decision maker on the basketball court in all phases of the game.
Yeah.
And you only can get so many of those at one time, and it feels like Arizona has a couple, right? It feels like Jaden Bradley should be trusted in all situations in terms of running the offense, in terms of defense. I feel like Koa Peat is at that level, and I feel like by the end of the year, we're going to be saying the same thing about Brayden Burries, right? And so Arizona truly does have a ton of poise and a ton of versatility with this upcoming roster, and Koa Peat kind of is the tip of that spear, right? He is the physicality, but he's also the athleticism, and he's also the intelligence from that wing forward, fluid kind of position that he's going to play this year.
Yeah,
I'm truly excited to see what Tommy Lloyd can do with a guy like Koa Peat, because Koa Peat just wants to be molded into whatever the best version of Koa Peat is. And I'm extremely excited for it.
It's like Pete Souza told us, like Arizona just sometimes felt like they didn't have a guy who just could face the basket and just go get you a bucket, right?
Yeah.
And I think Koa Peat, add in Brayden Burries, add in even Mo Krivas potentially, like maybe back to the basket, get you a bucket. But I just feel like Koa Peat is that guy for this team. And to JR's comment right there about being worried about his foul trouble, I think that's more of, and that's not to say that I think that he's going to be like a big foul issue guy. I'm more trying to poke holes in a guy who's like kind of bulletproof. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's such a good prospect, and it's like, well, what's his downside? And you're sitting there and you try to think about things that, where could maybe you envision where it doesn't go the way that I'm thinking that it will go for Koa Peat, and I'm like very certain of. And for me, it's just like, well, in high school, you're not going to foul that much because you're so much more athletic than everybody else that you're playing, especially when you play at a public school like Koa Peat did. Like, he's not always playing against the best of competition all the time. When you play in a World Cup like that, you're playing against a bunch of other freaks, like tall, 6'5", 6'8" players that you're probably not seeing in your high school days as much. So that's where, to me, it's like, okay, now you're seeing Koa Peat match up against a little bit more of an athleticism that is similar to his. Is his aggressiveness on D maybe a little bit too much? Does he need to scale it back a little bit? You saw Carter Bryant, who we know is uber athletic, has all the tools to be, an elite defender, and really was a good defender at Arizona in his lone season. But he if you look at his foul rates and stuff, it was through the roof because he, in part, knew he wasn't playing that many minutes. So I'm sure that allowed him to be aggressive on defense. But also, it just seems like he was getting used to the speed of it. And like a guy like Jaden Bradley, as much as he reaches in and whatnot, he's not getting called for fouls all the time because he's really smart about when he reaches and when he goes after the basketball. And I just think that Koa Peat, like, I don't know if I worry about him having a foul issue. I'm just, like I said, trying to be like, what is maybe a weakness of his that we need to watch out for going into his first season.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And also, I think additional context on what we saw in the World Cup situation as well was this is a guy who's chomping at the bit to get back to playing basketball after missing out on like what a lot of high school players dream about, right? Being a McDonald's All-American, playing on that stage. And we know that Koa Peat is a big, he values the stage. He values the moment, right? He values being able to up his profile that much more. And so we're talking about a kid who played through a broken hand in the state championship tournament, then sat out for the McDonald's All-American game and spoke to Saul and said, like, I'm just excited to be back playing basketball, having live reps, like playing against like live action, right? Because I haven't had that in a while. So I think that potentially you go into that World Cup and you're just maybe a little over aggressive and you just want to really get back to it. And maybe you're playing a little bit too fast or you're playing a little bit too strong. And maybe that does result in some high foul rate games. But like you said, like JR said, I think it is kind of just like a growing pains kind of thing. I think it is just, happen circumstance in that way. But like you alluded to,
I was just going to say one place where, you maybe could see that foul issue come to light a little bit is in that first game, because we talk about how much that, like, playing Florida night one, that's going to be such a test for Koa Peat and Brayden Burries in particular, the whole team, but those two guys, having to probably have so much of the volume of this scoring load, shouldered on the two of them, and then to play the national champions in night one, in a neutral site, like that's going to be a big test. And Koa Peat talked about, wanting to get back out there and just kind of being amped up to play Florida here, yesterday to media.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when I'm coming here in the morning to work out, I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about that when I'm coming in here to practice, thinking about our first game, and I'm excited for it, and I'm going to work as hard as I can up to that day.
And, you alluded to the idea of how that first game is going to be such a huge moment for Koa Peat and Brayden Burries. And again, we're trying to poke holes in what seems like an inevitable recruit, right? We're trying to poke holes in what seems like fate almost of Koa Peat being an elite college basketball player. But I think in terms of like big moments for freshmen, it would genuinely, in my opinion, no matter how good Koa Peat is, no matter how good Brayden Burries is, no matter how good Dwayne Aristode is, Ivan Kharchenkov, the whole freshman crew, right? They're still freshmen. and they're still going to feel those human emotions in these big moments. Most elite freshmen, your first game is not against the defending national champions. That's just the fact of it all, right? And there is likely to be a bit of an adrenaline dump when they take the floor for the first time. How will they handle that? How long will it take them to find their footing in that game? And like you alluded to, after the Florida game, yes, but certainly by the time we get to that Auburn home opener, we're going to know exactly who like these guys are at least from a floor standpoint. You know, we're not trying to put a cap on anybody just 5 games into a year, but from a floor standpoint, a recruit like Koa Peat and a recruit like Brayden Burries, you're going to know what you have with them almost instantly, and especially when you're playing against such high-level competition. So I'm interested to see how they handle that first 5 minutes of feeling out the Florida game, feeling out the big moment, because the conversation going into that game is going to be about the national champions versus these elite freshmen coming into Arizona and what Tommy Lloyd has built down in Tucson in just his first half decade there, blah, 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 blah. And it's going to feel like a huge moment because it is a huge moment. So like you said, I'm interested to see how they deal with that. And that game will tell us a lot about what they have, not only from a skills perspective, but what they have up here. Because if you're putting that much weight on this Florida game, if you're Koa Peat, which you should be because it's a huge game. But if you're waking up every day, like working out, like, all right, Florida's coming up, eating your ground beef and rice, like, all right, Florida's coming up. And then Florida's actually there. It makes
your cereal.
No, hell no. Get that out of here. We are Olympic gold medalists, you and I, Damon, and Koa Peat.
Us.
We are gold medalists.
We
in the World
can't wait
Cup.
for night 1 versus Florida.
But yeah, like it is going to be a huge moment. We're going to learn so much about their mentality and their skill that night. I think it's November 3rd. Kobe, shout out to the ground beef and rice. Got to have an avocado on the side with that. Really complete the whole meal. It's a great meal. It's a healthy meal. And we know Koa Pete's probably enjoying that because he's definitely not talking cereal. But yeah, I think that Florida game is going to be a huge indicator of what we have with the fit of this freshman class and what we have with the floor of this freshman class. One last clip I want to talk about from Koa Peat today. And this is something that you and I have talked about with Pete Souza, with multiple other people that follow Arizona basketball. The mid-range game in 2025 for Arizona basketball. How they flirted with it in 2024, but they didn't have the diverse shot diet to really make it an effective way to score. Yeah. Because defenses were able to just collapse on it. If they knew you couldn't really shoot the 3 last year unless ADO was wide open or Caleb Love was on a heater. So it really crippled the mid-range game.
It's wild to think about.
It is.
Like the lack of 3-point shooting on a Tommy Lloyd team, on a 2025 modern good college basketball team, like, and how good at free throws they were. They were really a pretty good free throw shooting team all season long. And despite that, they could not for the life of them shoot threes, in large part because of KJ Lewis and Jaden Bradley.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. No, you're not wrong.
Carter Bryant also was fairly reliable from 3, I will add. He didn't have huge volume, but he could make, 2, 3 on any given night.
Yeah, of course. And I think like this upcoming year, when you have on paper, offense that is much more capable of spacing the floor and completing 3-point shots, like even Kharchenkov, Anthony Delorso is going to be improved and bulkier, so better, more ready for a Big 12 schedule. Dwayne Aristode is showing early signs of being a pretty high-level 3-and-D guy for this Arizona team. So you have options, right, from a shooting perspective. But what can you do in that mid-range? How can it open up your offense? Koa Peat, we're saying he can do it all. The mid-range is included in that. He can face up, he can post up, he can facilitate a bit of an offense, but he can also score from the mid-range. And this is what Koa Peat had to say on the potential showcase of his mid-range game in 2025.
Yeah, for sure. Just learning my spots and stuff like that, getting to my spots, getting to my pull-ups, catch and shoot threes, just trying to learn like where I could get those shots, but also not taking away that I'm a good driver as well, just trying to show my all-around game.
His all-around game is what he's looking to show off, and I think that is kind of what Tommy Lloyd wants to utilize him for. He doesn't want to put Koa Peat in a box, and I think that by letting him utilize the mid-range, it will not only help Koa Peat showcase what he can do at the college level, but it will help Jaden Bradley. It'll help Brayden Burries. It'll help Tobe Awaka. It'll help Matias Krivas. It helps open up the game for everybody else on the floor. And speaking of Brayden Burries, he also spoke to media yesterday, and he had some pretty bold proclamations. And we're going to get to all that on the other side of this break here on the AZ Wildcats podcast. Don't you go anywhere. I want to talk to everyone at home about our friends over at Game Time. And Game Time is the best place, the only place, dare I say, to get your tickets, whether it's, soccer, basketball, comedy, NFL, MLB, concerts. It does not matter. Game Time is your place for last minute tickets or just tickets in general. You can use all their beautiful in-app features, such as the the visualizer they got on there. You can view your seat on the app. Exactly.
The best feature in ticketing.
Exactly where you're gonna sit. Before I found Game Time and this wonderful feature, I used to use a third-party website. I would, go on a ticket seller and I would look at my ticket, Google it, see if anybody else sat there and took a picture. It's an impossible undertaking. But with Game Time, they take all that stress, all that worry, all that wasted time out of the equation, and they do it for me. I can see exactly what seat I'm getting into. No old baseball stadiums with a pole blocking my direct view. I have the most beautiful seats because I use Game Time. They also have zone deals, so you know exactly where the best deals are at when you're using their app as well. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. If you go to a comedy show and the ticket's $19, that's a free ticket right there, just for code PHNX. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Damon, what time is it?
Game time. Another huge undertaking, Kevin, and we all know it, and it's something that a lot of people dread, is getting some new flooring in your home.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's such a massive purchase. There's so much that goes into it. And when you go to a typical big box store, there's so much loose ends that you have to tie at the end of it, right? You pick out your flooring that you're going to get, but you're not done there. You got to figure out, who's the contractor who's going to install it in your home? Who's, do I have insurance on this? What's the payment plan options? All of the above, right? And all that those stores care about is trying to get your card to swipe. That's why you go to the flooring experts in Empire Today, where all they care about is finding flooring that you love, whether it's tile, carpet, hardwood, you name it. Empire Today has all the options that you could possibly want, all the different types of styles, anything that will fit your home. And the virtual floor designer is going to show you exactly what it'll look like in your home before you make a purchase that you regret. These are the experts in flooring, guys. This isn't, one of the things they do. This is what they specialize in. This is what they love. They are the only people to trust when it comes to getting new flooring out there. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. PHNX listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code of PHNX. Yep, $350 off with our code of PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit Empire Today/PHNX for full details.
That's a lot of money, $350. So check that out. Make sure to check that out.
Solid chunk of change off.
I'm sure Brayden Burries is getting some chunks of change off of things in Tucson because
I'm not pocket watching. You could do that's your job.
I'm not pocket watching.
That's your
but
job,
what I
brother.
am saying is it would be a crime if he wasn't getting a discount on some tacos in Tucson. But that's neither here nor there. He did, we teased it in the show tweet. We talked about it a little bit before the break. I'd be remiss if we didn't just lead off with Brayden Burries' goals, one of them being quite bold for 2025's Arizona Wildcats.
The goals? To win the championship, honestly. I want to win the March Madness. I want to win Big 12. I want to see players on my team get drafted, and that's my main goals for this year.
I think one of the signs of a strong basketball program, and we'll get to exactly what he said here in a second, but I think one of the signs of a strong basketball program is, does the focus maintain the same, or I should say remain the same year over year, depending upon, regardless of who's in the locker room, right? And I think that what Arizona is building is a program that if you are coming to Arizona to play basketball, you are focused on two main things, right? Personal, professional development and winning. And I think that the atmosphere creates a third variable of wanting to see your teammates reach their highest potential, right? I think that hearing Brayden Burries, who's one of the most sought-after recruits in his class, come in, and yes, he's talking about winning championships and, other team goals, but the next thing out of his mouth is saying like, man, I can't wait to see Koa get drafted. I can't wait to see, so and so get drafted. Like I think that is something of note about this Arizona program, because I feel like
in August.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look around the nation year over year, the messages seem to change. You know what I mean? Like, depending upon which mix of guys you have in the locker room, they're going to say different things about the upcoming year. But it feels like a Tommy Lloyd Arizona team is starting to say the same stuff year over year, and I love it because it's about winning, development, and bringing other elite guys to their potential as well. And I think that's something I took away from that Brayden Burries clip.
Yeah, it's we've been saying it a lot with I feel like the football program with Brent Brennan and Seth Dagey and Noah Fafita, and how it feels like everybody is so much on the same page in lockstep with one another. I think Tommy Lloyd and the basketball program have had that for quite a bit of time now, right? And this is just another example of it. You get 2 star freshmen that could go anywhere in the country, could pretty much demand playing time, NIL packages, number of shots, maybe even from certain programs, and they choose to come here to Arizona because they think it gives them the best chance of winning. They are fully bought into the team culture and environment, and I think as an Arizona fan, you have to love not only the present but the future of the program more and more just by the day. It just feels so sustainable, right?
Yes.
Like, doesn't it feel like Tommy Lloyd could be here for 20 more years doing the exact same things? And I know
that's what I was saying earlier with the passive income analogy of like, it feels like this is the first year where I can see Tommy Lloyd's vision, and I can see how the snowball is really starting to build momentum.
Yeah.
And it's starting to become like this is what it's going to be like for as long as Tommy Lloyd is at his peak of coaching, right?
Yeah. No, it feels like it could be for forever, really.
Yeah.
And, I know that the postseason success hasn't come yet, but I feel like you got to give yourself opportunities, to make deep tournament runs. And that starts with having competitive teams year in and year out. And yeah, the Princeton loss was brutal, and you never had any business losing to Clemson, right? And last year, obviously, you just kind of run into a really tough side of your bracket, and one of the greatest teams of all time in Duke. But like what you need, Kevin, is shots at the dartboard.
Yes.
And I just feel like Tommy Lloyd is he's gonna have so many shots at the dartboard. Eventually, the postseason, deep postseason runs are gonna come with it. Like there's no doubt in my mind about that.
They say that you need a lot of luck to win a national title. You need things to break your way.
1,000%.
And they also, by that same coin, they define luck as like preparation meeting opportunity, right? And I think to your point, you need shots at the dartboard. You got to put yourself in a position for luck to break your way. And I think if Tommy Lloyd can keep taking shots at the dartboard, shout out to Owen, stand up if you love the darts, like Tommy Lloyd can really maybe break through at some point, right? And I think that is, I know a lot of it, like you said, Arizona fans are like, well, what about the postseason success that we haven't had? But I think if you look at the postseason credibility that Tommy Lloyd is slowly starting to accumulate, because it's hard to put yourself in these positions, especially following up a guy like Sean Miller, right? I think who was able to recruit so well and build and continue that expectation of elite level basketball at Arizona. It's hard to come in and compile a roster that can fill those shoes that was left behind you. But now we're starting to see Tommy Lloyd put this snowball in motion, and hopefully it does put himself in more positions in Arizona basketball, in more positions to win that second national championship that has been so elusive.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And a big part of that is going to be this freshman class and just kind of, the levels to which Koa Peat, Brayden Burries, and to a slightly lesser extent, Dwayne Aristode can kind of take them to. And this was Brayden Burries' breakdown of that freshman class.
I feel like, start off with Bryce. Bryce, we played AAU together, and he's been doing great, honestly. He's shooting the ball like crazy good. He's rebounding. He's being like, he's talking a lot, defending. Koa, he's being dominant, getting downhill, rebounding, getting to the cup. Dwayne, he's being great, being active, getting a lot of steals, deflections, shooting the ball at a high clip. So, I mean, they're all doing great, honestly. And I can see, like, from when I first got here to now, like, how, like, better everybody's getting. Oh, yeah, Yvonne, he's one of them ones for sure. He's a smart guy. He plays off 2 feet. He can shoot it. He can He knows when to pass out of the post and stuff, and he's a great guy. Mobile, he's getting stronger. He's rebounding great, defending great. He can shoot the ball. He can pretty much do it all, honestly.
Despite forgetting to mention Ivan Kharchenkov's name at first and having to be reminded of it, it does seem like the praise for the German-Russian forward is there. And I think that when you and I were identifying during his, recruitment to Arizona, like just his overall skill set, right? I feel like we almost reached a point, and maybe you didn't, but I felt like I reached this point of like, what is wrong with him? Why isn't he more hyped up? Like what is his game specifically missing that doesn't have people going, man, what doesn't he have? Kobe says it in the chat when Brayden Burries looks at you and goes, yeah, he's one of those ones. One of them ones. My bad. Grammar not always my strong suit, but I will say like that does have you feeling a little bit different about it, right? Because Koa Peat, I think when you ask like his teammates about him, you might hear Dwayne Aristode go, Koa, beast. Or, Brayden Burries talk about how he's just being super physical, doing what he does best, being dominant. And then you get to Ivan Kharchenkov, and it feels like, not in a surprise way, but I think he's kind of really put a lot of his teammates on notice as to his game is real. And what we've seen on his film is real. And it could really translate to the Big 12. I'm a big Ivan Kharchenkov believer in his skill set. I think his ceiling is incredibly high as a professional basketball player. I think his skill set is just so versatile, and he can do so much on a basketball court. I don't know how that's, you need players like that on every team that can do a little bit of everything and just bring that professional feel to things. He shows up with his little briefcase, getting ready to work, kind of vibe to things. And we can get back to what Brayden Burries had to say about the rest of the freshmen, but I was really, really taken aback by, despite forgetting his name, just how much praise Brayden Burries had for Ivan Kharchenkov, because we identified the same things.
I don't know about forgetting his name. He forgot him in the discussion.
Yes.
He knows Ivan Kharchenkov's name.
I am saying that as like a joke in jest, but if you put someone on the spot and say, can you tell me a couple things in detail about 8 guys on your team now? It's tough. And you're getting down to guys that you probably just met like a week and a half ago, maybe less time than that. I'm not trying to give Brayden Burries too hard of a time, but yes, Ivan Kharchenkov, he one of them ones.
Yeah, I love that quote about Ivan Kharchenkov, and I also think that we talked about right when Arizona got Ivan Kharchenkov, just the idea that he's already played at a high level in the upper levels of the German league, the number one division there, the BBL, of course. How could you forget? And I think that you're either gonna. I think we said that you're probably gonna either see he's ready from day one or he's just flat out not.
Yes.
I don't know if you're gonna see there's a. I mean, I don't want to say that he won't show flashes here and there, but I just feel like he's either gonna have to primarily sit for this entirety of this year, or he's gonna be like a very key cog in the rotation from day one because he's just ready for it immediately. And I'm leaning towards that latter option, to be completely honest with you. I feel that he's going to be very ready for college basketball, especially just given what his body looks like. But another, way in which Brayden Burries can help himself get ready for this upcoming season is through, learning from the other guards on the roster. Not obviously a very talented freshman class, but coming into a very talented group as well already here at Arizona, led by, of course, Shaden Bradley, who's, written in Sharpie in the starting lineup. and you bring in Evan Nelson as well from Harvard. Tons of experience, fan of the program growing up. We always talk about, how it just means a little bit more to Evan Nelson, but also, he told us when we had him on the show, he wants to lead by example. That's a big part of his role here with the program. What can Brayden Burries learn from the guards already on Arizona's roster?
Just being a sponge, honestly, just open to learning new things, learning the difference between the physicality, what to look for on ball screens. And, he's a senior now, so he's been here for 3 years, but it's going to be his 4th year. So just he's been there, so I'm just learning after him and Evan, great guys. Just different pace, I would say pickups, real important to like pick the ball up with two hands, playing off 2 feet, staying under, get pressured. So I feel like it's great.
And you alluded to it, right? The elite freshman talent that's coming in, and we talked about this all show yesterday as to why it's even significant that you brought them in at all. You're pairing them with veterans who can actually set them up for success in their first year of college. Oftentimes with these freshman guards that are tasked with handling the entire offense at points during a season, they look green. They look like they can be overwhelmed, that their motherboard can be overloaded, right? And you can kind of short circuit them with making them make too many choices in a short, whether it's a trap at half court, whether it's, doubling them off of a screen or whatever it is, make them make decisions and they will make the wrong ones sometimes because they just haven't been there yet. But when you compare a guy like Brayden Burries with a guy like Jaden Bradley and a guy like Evan Nelson, who have seen so much college basketball at so many different levels of the game, I think that you're going to see a lot less freshmen. You're going to see him freshman mistakes, from Brayden Burries this upcoming year.
It felt like you had that the entire time.
But it just wouldn't happen for me. It was like I was being held back by an elastic band from saying that. But anyway.
You were at 99.99% loading.
Yeah, no, for real. But what was I saying? Oh, yeah. When is there a better person for Brayden Burries to learn from than a guy like Jaden Bradley and Evan Nelson who can help him not make some of those simple freshman mistakes like coming over half court, how to just simply get the ball over half court, stop, play off 2 feet, and make the right choice from there as opposed to trying to do too much. It gives me a lot of encouragement that Brayden Burries is going to look really polished very soon into the season because of the leadership on this roster, because of the coaching on this roster.
Yeah, and we've been talking so much about how we love the build and the makeup of this roster, right? Because of the combination of the blue chippers like Brayden Burries and Koa Peat and Dwayne Aristode and Ivan Kharchenkov combined with, the staples of this team already. Jaden Bradley, Tobe Awaka, Mo Krivas, even though he's a little bit more of an unknown, but, Anthony Del Orso, like the roster makeup is I think exactly where you want to be in terms of, a team that truly has the ceiling to win a national championship. And Brayden talked about the potential to win with this roster earlier yesterday.
I feel like we got one of the best backcourts in the nation, and I feel like we got probably the best rebounder in the nation with Tobe. And I just feel like we're all like focused on winning. I feel like we all got that winning mentality. When we play, you see say we'll scrimmage or something, and the team that's down, you see how frustrated they are with losing, like not winning. So I feel like that's our strength.
Fire me up. Hell yeah. Tobe Awaka, best rebounder in the damn country. And you know what? Might as well chalk Brayden Burries up, add him to the list with me and Kevin of guys that think that Tobe Awaka should be the starting center.
1,000%. And also, Brayden Burries knows intimately about the intensity of Tobe Awaka's rebounding skills. This is Brayden Burries on his welcome to the Big 12 moment, maybe potentially involving Tobe Awaka.
Yeah. So actually, it wasn't with them. It was actually with Tobe. So we were doing like this rebounding drill, and like I came off the opposite block, and he was on the wing, and he was coming in. I had to box him out, and like he just like bulldozer me all the way to the other side. That was like probably the welcome moment for me.
Even in practice, my guy does not let up. Every rebound is his.
Oh, you're one of our star freshmen? Get the hell over there. Doesn't care. It's Tobe Awaka. He's a beast.
Tobe Awaka has one speed, and it's rebounding speed.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah, 100%. That's how Nathan Biddle felt last year when he was just laying on the floor in the NCAA tournament second round with Tobe Awaka just vacuuming up every rebound, around the rim. Special player.
Very special player. Excited for Tobe Awaka's development next season as well, Damon. But I think you can assume that Tobe Awaka is generally going to be a similar player to what he was last year, maybe with a couple new tricks and stuff to throw out there.
Maybe with a little bit of perimeter shooting, as he told your boys.
Maybe. Who knows? I would love to see that. But hey, doing the Golden State Warriors gun
down the other side of the court.
Big Tobe Awaka just hey. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Brayden Burries spoke to what he needs to develop next year during his time here at Arizona.
I'll say just honestly everything. Like I need to be able to shoot better, dribble better, rebound, defend. I'll say mostly just continue to be a leader. You know, usually freshmen don't like talk. I feel like just got to be like talk a lot on defense and know everybody's position. So if they need help, I can help them out.
You know, I think that when we're talking about Brayden Burries and his areas of development, I'm happy to hear him say that, honestly, everywhere is an area of development for him. He doesn't feel like he is a made product in any one way, and I think that it alludes to what we're saying here in the chat with Sam Albert saying how this seems like it's a Tommy Lloyd kind of a recruit, right? Someone who comes in is like, you humble yourself when you get to Arizona, like that Brayden Burries has. I didn't pull this clip, but they asked him about his removing the hype, you know, coming out of high school. Like, how do you mentally say, all right, that's high school, this is college, put that behind me? And it seems like Brayden Burries has already done that. And he understands that it doesn't matter if you're a #1 recruit in the nation, if you go in and flame out in college. That was you at 18, and now you are a flame out in college. You have to go produce at the college level to make any of that even matter. And I think that having that kind of that student mentality is going to be huge for Brayden Burries in 2025 for becoming the player that he is. Because as David Stith says in the chat, yes, you can learn from Jaden Bradley. Yes, you can learn from Evan Nelson. But doing that in live time against a team like Florida, against a team like Auburn, against a team like UConn is going to be incredibly difficult, right?
Yeah.
So you do want to see Brayden Burries stay humble, continue to work, and become the best point guard or combo guard, whatever you want to call him, that he can be.
Big part of the reason why you go to a school like Arizona is to, you know, play on that national stage, to play the UConns, the Floridas, the UCLAs, the Houstons, you know, the gauntlet schedule that Arizona will be playing next season. Brayden Burries opened up as to why he chose Arizona in his recruitment.
I just feel like it was the best opportunity for me, and it was close enough to home, and just they got a great coaching staff. And I feel like Coach Lloyd, the trust with Coach Lloyd I had, I feel like he just lets he trusts his players a lot and lets them play.
Tommy Lloyd, we talked about the relationships that he's been able to build at Arizona and the reputation that is starting to precede him, right? About just simply letting the team play the way that they want to play. You also heard Koa Peat talk about how one huge plus to playing under Tommy Lloyd is that he just lets you be yourself. He lets you play the way that you are strongest playing in. And if he can combine multiple guys that have a great fit playing within themselves, I think that only goes to benefit them, Damon. And I think as we go to talk about, you know, the play style that Tommy Lloyd wants to play, the heavy in transition style that Tommy Lloyd loves to play, if you can combine, we talked about this yesterday, a guy like Brayden Burries who has all of the skills of a combo guard that you could want, with a guy like Koa Peat who has all of the skills of a transition point forward kind of a player that you could want. These are like the perfect Tommy Lloyd guys, and they're in the same class. I feel like you don't often see that, right?
Yeah, not only that, but they're such, like, you know, highly coveted pro prospect profiles as well. Like that Koa Peat point forward, that Brayden Burries, you know, volume scoring combo guard. Like, if they truly go out and have the seasons that I think Arizona fans expect from them next year, like they're going to be very highly coveted by NBA teams as well. Yes. Because of the type of players that they are, and you know, their size and their athleticism as you know, in comparison to their size. Like, they really truly are, you know, I think like those upper echelon type of blue chipper type of players that you only get ever so often, because, you know, they don't always look like that. Like, there are times where you bring in a guy and, you know, even like you know, not to demean him in his college career, because it was fantastic, but even like a Caleb Love, like when he came in, you know, him and Koa Peat have like the same rating. Yeah. Right. But they look completely different. Mm-hmm. And Caleb Love was a guy who was always a multi-year college guy, was never a one and done. Like, you know, Koa Peat is just athletically just a different animal. He
is. And, you know, you can listen to me and Damon talk about the play style and how perfect it is for Brayden Burries. This is Brayden Burries' thoughts on Arizona's play style and also his visit that he took down to McHale recently.
I'll say just how fast they play. You know, get it out, get the rebound and run. I feel like that's like the main part. And I feel like that's where we're going to be most successful. And I feel like another thing with the play style is their home games, the crowd. Like, I feel like that the adrenaline is only going to help us. I came for official on red and blue, but I came to the Duke game. The atmosphere was crazy.
I know that it wasn't maybe the result that you would have wanted, but that's a hell of a game to come for a visit. Arizona versus Duke in the McHale Center. That is one of the top matchups you can make in college basketball, right?
From an environment standpoint, it's about as electric as it gets. So
exactly.
I understand bringing recruits there. And can you imagine, like, if Arizona won, he might have committed on the spot?
I mean, could you imagine if, like this podcast, it went into overtime? I mean, that was incredible. I mean, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I'm going to pat myself on the other side of my back. I'm going to pat myself in the center of my back. Jacob Franklin will also probably give me a pat on the back before that overtime transition right at the damn hour mark, Damon. Welcome to overtime, folks.
I want to praise it, but the reaction from yourself just precludes me from doing so, Kevin.
But anyway, Brayden Burries did identify the same kind of transition basketball that Damon and I know that him and Koa Peat can be great in that kind of a system, right? And he also spoke to, like, throughout this podcast, the relationships that helped get him and Koa Peat into this situation. And I think at this point in the pod, unless you have more on the Brayden Burries clips that we discussed today, we got to talk about Bruce Branch, because Bruce Branch III, as we talked about in the cold open, has updated his recruitment, and he has the top 3. And I was joking, guys, in the cold open. He actually has 3 schools in there, and in no order. It seems to be Arizona, USC, and Arizona State. I made the joke on Twitter that there was really just 2 schools in there, because it's like, what is the polar bear doing in Arlington, Montana? What is the polar bear doing in Arlington, Montana? Jacob Franklin is always watching. There's a lot going on, but ASU, Damon, can you try to clear that up? What are they doing in the top 3? Why is the polar bear in Arlington, Texas? Got it right that time.
I genuinely have no idea. And when I read that, I was completely floored by it. Here's what I will say. I think as Arizona fans, we should feel great about it, because Bobby Hurley and that coaching staff are very well not going to be there in 2027. The fact that he's already down to his top 3, and one of them is a school that probably is going to have an entirely different coaching staff by the time that he's going to attend college, kind of makes me lean towards the fact that I think it's really a top 2. Like, how could you possibly commit to a Bobby Hurley team right now? Look at their current roster. They could bring one guy back from last year's team, and it was Trevor Best, who's like a Big Sky caliber basketball player, like, and that's no offense to the kid. Like, he really stepped in and actually performed pretty admirably given the spot he was put in. But every other player on the roster left. Every other player on the roster left last season. They bring in a bunch of transfers. There's a couple that maybe are players, but not enough to form a basketball team that is going to win any games or really do any damage. So to me, Bruce Branch is putting a throwaway in there. I can't for the life of me think of why or how or what or who or
see, I'm trying to see if maybe it's like not actually a top 3, and if maybe the way it was communicated to the public was just like maybe not the clearest, because when you read the article, and we're getting this information,
you think he said Arizona twice, and then it was kind of like an ESPN like mix up situation like usual. I think he said Arizona State.
You know what might have happened? I don't know. It might have been like he did recently get an offer from NC State, so maybe he was like Arizona, USC, and NC State, and maybe Jamie Shaw just wasn't dialed in, and he was just like, what did he say? I don't want to ask him again, because then he would know I wasn't listening. He probably said Arizona State, right? No, I'm joking. In the article from Jamie Shaw of On3, it does say that Bruce Branch has updated his recruitment with these 3 schools. It doesn't really say that it's a definitive top 3, but it feels like he asked for what updates he had, and he got 3 schools, is what it feels like. I'm
gonna assume that it's correct. I'm not gonna assume something weird is going on, but it is just insane. Yeah, it's insane that a high-level basketball recruit in the year of our Lord 2025 would even consider Arizona State University, and who knows what their next coaching situation is going to look like? Who knows what the next iteration of ASU basketball will look like? If the past is telling at all, it'll be mediocre / bad, because it always is. But this one is just a real head scratcher, man. And what the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas is right. Like
Yeah.
it really makes no sense as to why ASU's in this top 3. And honestly, I'll take it a step further. It doesn't make any sense that USC's in this top 3. And I know Eric Musselman is a great recruiter, and I know he brings in high-level recruits consistently, kind of no matter where he goes. Even at Nevada, he was doing so. But like USC is a nothing basketball program that sometimes gets like an Evan Mobley here and there because they hire his dad to be an assistant coach. And then, I guess they made an Elite Eight with them. I was going to say they did nothing with them, but they made an Elite Eight with them. So congrats on that. But they have a player here and there, but they're not a consistent program whatsoever. I find that one a little bit odd too. And that's why I think a lot of people thought the Elijah Arenas stuff was so odd when it happened. And then, it seems like it's kind of been somewhat pushed out recently that it's like more so that was more so an Arizona decision than it was an Elijah Arenas decision. But yeah, I got to say, seeing this top 3, I feel fantastic, man.
Yeah.
How could you not? It's Tommy Lloyd in Arizona versus Eric Musselman in USC and blank and Arizona State.
Do you want to feel even more confident, Damon? He gave 3 quotes, one for each school, right? And I'll read you the one about USC and then Arizona State, and then I will show you the one about Arizona. And I think it only goes to add to your point about, like, what are they doing in this top 3? Because his answer for the first 2 schools is kind of like, yeah, they offered me. And then Arizona's is a little bit more detailed. So let's get into this. When asked by Jamie Shaw about USC, Branch said, quote, "Man, they're the coolest dudes ever, man. One thing about me is relationships, man. I could talk to you normally like a human being, like a friend. I like those type of people." That was it.
That seems like Eric Musselman.
Yes. Didn't even mention Musselman's name by you don't really have to, but you know what I'm saying, right? Didn't get too specific there. His quote on Arizona State is, quote, "With ASU,
Mill Avenue is sick, man.
I love Old Town.
I loved hanging out in Old Town when I went there. God, you gotta love the waste management tournament every February." Like that's probably what he said.
I mean, pretty much, kind of. He said, quote, "With ASU, one of my favorite players is James Harden. When he was over there," yeah, he said, quote, "One of my favorite players is James Harden. He was over there. It's so loud in these college games, man. There's so much energy. I mean, that's one thing I like about going to games. So much energy." Okay. And this is what he had to say about Arizona.
1 second. I can't. We can't just move on and just.
I mean, if you want energy.
Did bro really say that? Started talking about ASU and started talking like ASU basketball, so then started talking about energy.
But that goes to my point, though, right? About these 2 quotes for the USC and the Arizona State recruitment, kind of just being nothing. Like
cool
just empty quotes.
Cool guys. Then literally like dodged the question about ASU.
That's what I'm saying. That was more so my point with like my preface of being like he kind of said nothing about USC and ASU, and I do want to get back in the energy thing because I want to loop this back into just how
was it an Arizona State game? Maybe that's why there was some good energy.
Maybe it was last year's game where Conrad Martinez hit that clutch 3 and
the shot heard around the world.
And when you and I erupted, maybe he was like, "Those cats are here to watch this game, man." Okay, but this is what he had to say about Arizona. Quote, "I got my boys Dalen Terry, and for context, little parenthetical note: Dalen Terry's misspelled in the article. They spell it Daylen when it's Dalen, but that's neither here nor there." Quote, "I got my boys Dalen Terry who went there. Carter Bryant, he just got drafted in the NBA. My guy Koa Peat is over there now, my former teammate. So I know a lot about Arizona. A lot of us Arizona kids, they like to stay home." And now he did go on to speak to the energy in McHale about how when he visited and when he saw a game there are people without tickets that like because you just standing room only. He did speak to the energy, but that was the main gist of his quote. And I think like when you compare those 3 quotes, it really only feels like you have interest in one of those schools. No, like you go through and you're like,
yeah,
you just name the most famous Arizona State alum. You're like, yeah, James Harden went there. I love James Harden. And then what about USC? And you're like, oh, dude, those California guys, chill. They're chill dudes. Chill dudes over those ways. I love Muss, dude. Muss is so chill. And then you get to Arizona and he's like, dude, Dalen Terry's awesome. That's my guy. Carter Bryant, that's my guy. Koa Peat, he's going there. I played with him last year. That's my guy.
And did you see the new court?
The new court's fire. The atmosphere. They have standing room only, right? And I think, and then this is the kicker to it all. When asked like what is most important for him in his recruitment, he said, quote, relationships are really big for me. I want to see you as my family, as my friend, someone that I'm able to trust. If I see that, or if I see you with that, we can go a long way, you know? And he did mention that in his quote about USC, but he also didn't name anybody that he has a relationship with at USC or Arizona State. He named 3 recent people involved with the Arizona program that he has close personal ties to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it is important to note, he did play at Perry the last couple of years. He's moving to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So how will that affect his recruitment? You know, is Florida able to get hands on him personally now that he's down in that? Like, you know, it opens up a whole new can of worms. But at this point in time currently, it feels like Arizona has 2 feet in the door on the Bruce Branch recruitment, and it feels like ASU and USC are just trailing behind in the hallway right now.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he has ASU in his group tells me he wants to be in Arizona.
Yes. And look at the end of this quote where he says, so I know a lot about Arizona. A lot of us Arizona kids, they like to stay home.
100%. And we talk about it all the time when it comes to Phoenix Hoopers and the elite class of Phoenix basketball players. They always go to Arizona. Whether it's, Richard Jefferson, Channing Frye, Jared Bayless, Koa Peat, Dalen Terry, you name it, man. They always come to Arizona. So I think that you got to feel pretty good about Arizona's odds here. It is a little bit out, like we're talking 2027.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got to love it. As Kobe says, how old was he when James Harden was playing? He's 16 years old. Fair point.
Like, how old was he before James Harden exited his prime and got kind of chubby, you know? Like, does he remember prime James Harden like the way that you and I do, the way Kobe does?
He was probably like 10 when James Harden was like on that 1 seed Rockets team, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But you get my point. Like, it feels like, and to Kobe's point, it just kind of feels like an empty thing to say. Like, you visited there one time, they showed you the wall of alumni, and you're just like, I remember James Harden was on that wall. That's pretty cool. It'd be cool to be like, we went to the same school. But there's no, like, real substance there. Right? I think with, like, Koa Peat, Carter Bryant, Dalen Terry being personal connections to him, and then him ending that article, and you guys should go read it. It's on ARM3. Jamie Shaw, they do good work with the recruiting stuff over there. Check it out. But at the end of that article where he says, like, relationships matter to me most.
Yeah. How
could you not walk away from reading that article and think that this is Arizona's race to lose? For I know, and like we said, it's a long ways out. Literally anything could happen between now and the time he puts pen to paper and commits somewhere. But as of right now, you have to see Arizona as the clear leader in that clubhouse.
Yeah, I think absolutely so. And can we talk about the Dalen Terry aspect of things for a second here, Kevin?
You mean the connector?
There we go. That's what I was trying to get out of you. Dalen Terry, you hear about Dalen Terry in regards to the Koa Peat side of things. You hear about Dalen Terry now with Bruce Branch III. Is Dalen Terry this program's secret weapon from a recruiting standpoint? I mean, it certainly feels like it. And, I feel like he's kind of like the Noah Fafita's mom of this basketball team.
I mean, that is...
Noah Fafita's mom is to the football program what Dalen Terry is to the basketball program.
We're known for our crazy takes on this show, and, we're also known for making some crazy comparisons, and that part kind of is real. I was not ready today mentally to talk about the comparison of Dalen Terry to Noah Fafita's mother, but in terms of spreading the good gospel of Arizona sports, like the Arizona athletic programs going around, you got a good case there.
We are nothing without those two.
Erica Day's right here. Erica, is Dalen Terry the Noah Fafita's mother of Arizona basketball? Is that even how you phrase that? She's confused. She's nodding yes. Yes. Shout out to Erica Day. Follow her on Twitter.
Special guest appearance from Erica Day to end the show. Does it get any better than this on a Thursday
honestly,
here?
She kind of had to stop by because she hadn't been in the chat, which means we actually technically haven't started the show.
Fact.
So now, welcome to the AZ Wildcats podcast, and Dalen Terry is the connector.
Let's go.
Yay. Should I roll the intro? Dalen Terry truly, like, regardless of the comparison you do want to make, he does seem like he is that next guy that really wants to make the Arizona brand at the level at which he is at known, and he's not going to shut up about it until everybody around him knows exactly what school he went to and why they're the best in the West. And I think that I joke and I call him the connector, but it's real. Right now, we've had multiple players within the last 48 hours come out and say, like, you know, Koa Peat's at his first press conference and Dalen Terry's calling him 15 minutes before because he was visiting the middle school that they shared. Like, it's stuff like that we were talking about earlier in the show that helps you keep that snowball going if you're Tommy Lloyd. And it's another reason why we make such a big deal about keeping in-state guys in-state and at Arizona, because look at the effects coming down the pipe, right? If you have any other elite Phoenix talent, they don't have to phone up a guy 20 years like ahead of them, or, you know, in the development process.
But they could if they needed to.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you're in Phoenix and the ASU's trying to recruit you, and James Harden is not, you know, 20 years removed from that time and he was at school, but you get my point there. It's less of a connection right there. But if you are, if you're Koa Peat and there's a guy like Dalen Terry who you want to follow that similar path that he took, and you shared a middle school with him, it's real, it's tangible, that's a real person that you know, right? And he's telling you, Arizona is the truth. We've walked the same streets, and I think this is where you should go. It means so much more than when you know it's just the biggest alumni that the school has to offer calling you and being like, hey man, you know, this so-and-so school is awesome. I went there and now I'm rich and famous. Look at me. It doesn't hit the same. You get a little starstruck, I'm sure, if you are Bruce Branch and you're like, I remember James Harden. So if I got to talk to James Harden, that'd probably be pretty cool. But it hits a lot different when it's three of your close personal friends being like, this is where you need to go to school. Yeah.
People that have walked the same path as you and you know, I know that wasn't your point, but like, I just think it goes to show the Rolodex of
yes.
You know, elite Phoenix talent that has come through this program for so long now that you can phone up someone from 40 years ago, from 30 years ago, from 20 years ago, and you can keep going down the line, and people from, you know, a class before you, to the point. Like, that's kind of the build that we have over here at Arizona, and that's why, you know, it's only going to make it more and more difficult for an elite Phoenix basketball player to leave if they want to, because they're going to see all the people that have walked the steps before them, and they're going to be like, you know what, man, like, this is I want to be talked about the way Koa Peat is talked about.
If there was like a limit on how like the time that it takes for that to feel significant, you have to feel like Koa Peat has hit the reset button on that timer, because now you have an even more recent example of the best talent in the city going to Tucson. To your point, it just continues the cycle of, well, with every top talent that goes to Arizona, like you said, it makes it that much harder for the next one to not want to follow that same path.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam's so right. ASU's Rolodex consists of James Harden and Remy Martin, and I'm pretty sure Remy Martin works at Enterprise Rental Car.
Oof.
Now, I don't know. I thought I heard that maybe.
He'll pick you up.
He will pick you up in an Uber. But that's gonna do it for us today on the AZ Wildcats podcast. We're gonna be back tomorrow on a Friday at 2 p.m. Where we'll of course be talking about anything new that happens in the world of Arizona athletics, previewing some football stuff. Maybe talking to our guy Justin Spears potentially. Who knows? We'll talk about it. All of the news and notes regarding Arizona athletics and more on tomorrow's 2 p.m. AZ Wildcats podcast. In the meantime, please like this video, guys, if you haven't done so already, and subscribe to the channel. Helps us out so much. Follow Kevin at Kevo Posts. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG on the end of that. And follow us at PHNX_Wildcats. Kevin fired up all week long to be talking with all of our friends and family here in the chat. And, of course, you know, just inching closer to the, you know, so coveted football season. Can't wait for it. Definitely, you know, just like a mere, like, 3 weeks out. We're 23 days away, I believe. So
I was going to say, I think it's 23 days.
Yeah. Shout out Juan Serrano. Sitting about 23 days away from Arizona football. And just can't wait for that. So, you know, chomping at the bit here over at PHNX Sports. You know, can't wait to see you guys tomorrow and talk to you at 2 p.m. on the AZ Wildcats podcast. But until then, peace out, bear down.
And go Cats. It's almost Friday.
We all silly like the mayor.